Great. My name is John. I am an alcoholic. Thank you, Susan. Thank you to the Seattle group for having me. This is the second time I've gotten to speak here. Thank God now we've pared it down to 15 minutes. The other 30. And I want to, I was up in Vancouver with, I know Steve and Nancy were up there too. And I heard, did you speak at the conference? And I'm sorry because I missed it. I apologize for that. I really do. I was really not in a very healthy space. You want to come up here and do it? It's fine with me. I don't care. But yeah. But what they did at the conference, everybody, when I went to a meeting, which I don't particularly like, but I will do it today, is I'll give you my my sobriety date, which is December 18th, 1983. That was the first day that, pardon me, I didn't drink. I'd been in AA about 6, 8 weeks. So, kind of like in that bleak November. But yeah, I just pop in and out of meetings drunk and maybe sober and talk at meetings, not knowing what I was talking about. And I just didn't know. I had people come up to me. This woman was a great gal. She came up to me. She goes, John, AA works better when you don't drink. These little things that you need kind of really, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But December 18th, through no fault of my own, I made it through the day without picking up a drink. And the next thing I knew was Christmas, 1983, and I was at my mom's house, and I really wanted a drink. I just did. I just had to, but I didn't. And the next thing I knew, it was New Year's Eve, and I was at an AA party, and I was in. I jumped in the pool at that point. That was it. I was completely over my head, deep end. I knew AA was for me. That's my superpower. That's my superpower, that I know AA is for me. And I really am not a big questioner of the philosophy that we have. I'm just not. Before I came into AA, I drank around the clock. When I got to work in the morning at 7 in the morning, I was drinking right away. When I got through my shift, I drank, before I went home, and then I would pick up a full bottle of scotch and drink that before I went, for the rest of the night, before I passed out. Wash, rinse, repeat. And I did that for a couple of years. I had no friends. I couldn't call up anybody. I didn't want to go out to bars because I was afraid of people. And a bar, in the first place, a bar was expensive to drink in compared to when you go to a liquor store and you buy the cheapest scotch that was on sale, period. Like Dunnigan's Dew or, Patty's Stream or something like that. That was my kind of scotch, highly blended. But anyway, and I detoxed myself, not knowing I was detoxing myself. That was a real, and that was a full-blown detox. Like, I had all these hallucinations, auditory, visual. I had the sweats, I had the chills. So like one part of the night, I would be in the bathtub in gym shorts, because I was sweating so much. And then 3 hours later, I would be under 4 blankets because I was shivering so much, And then I would be hearing things and seeing things coming at me, And to be honest, I thought I had a cold. That's the God's truth. I didn't know I was detoxing until I finished detoxing and went back to the meetings, and I told them what was going on, and they told me what was going on. But that didn't stop me either. I still drank again. I had no effective mental defense against the first drink. That's one of the lines out of our literature. I didn't understand that back then. I really understand that now. In a way that is deep humbling is what it is. It's humbling than anything to have no defense, none. Anyway, I stayed in the program, and I got a home group, and I got a sponsor, and I got I can't think of the right word for it, service positions. And I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, doing what you guys in the program told me to do. And before I knew it, I had a year of sobriety. And I stood up at my home group on the stage and said, I'm John, I'm an alcoholic, and I have 1 year of sobriety. Everybody knew me. It was a room that had like maybe 100 people in it. Everybody knew me, screaming, yelling, clapping, It's amazing, And then, really kind of before I knew it, I had 2 years of sobriety. And in that second year of sobriety, I had changed jobs. And I changed jobs because I was this really underpaid waiter. Like I was making about like $410 every 2 weeks or twice a month. That's what I was making, And now, even though I had stopped drinking, now that money was going a lot farther, right? Obviously it was, but I didn't want to be a waiter for the rest of my life. Nothing wrong with it, I guess, but I just didn't want to do it anymore. So this is a really long story, so I'll just cut it short. I became a police officer because there was a test in New York City to become a police officer. And I went to the home group member who worked for the city, the leading deacon, Bill, and I asked Bill, do you think it's a good idea? And he said, yeah. He didn't say, oh, it's a dangerous job, it's a this, it's a that. He's like, oh, yeah, you're in a union, you have benefits. He just went through the common sense things about getting a job. All the benefits, you're covered by a, collective bargaining agreement, things like that. So I said, okay. So I applied to a test. I went through a vetting process, and 18 months sober, I was walking into the New York City Police Academy. Now, I wasn't a New York City police officer. I was a New York City transit police officer, which meant that I was in the subways, which I really didn't want to be. Didn't matter. I still kept going. Bill said, just go. And I did. And Richie, my sponsor, said, yeah, just go. So I did. 6 months later, 2 years sober, standing on that stage at Elm Heights, getting my, for my second anniversary, I was a New York City police officer. The New York City had said, yeah, we're going to give you a shield and we're going to give you a gun. Think of that for a second. Let's think of that. A gun. And they're going to stick me on a train from 8 at night till 4 in the morning. And I'm going to drive through the worst places in New York alone. And I did. And I survived. And I became a cop. I mean, I learned how to be a cop. It's a learning process. That's what I found out. And I stayed with being a cop. And about a year and a half later, I met a very lovely lady, and we started going out. And we came out to Seattle for a visit, and I really liked it out here. And she said, why don't you apply to the police department here? So I said, okay, that sounds like a good idea. And I did, and long story short, I got hired here in 89, it was. And I've lived here since, and this is where the majority of my sobriety has been since 1989, has been in Seattle. Hasn't been, some parts of my sobriety have been just unbelievably beautiful, and some parts have been really bad, really bad. I got a divorce, which I didn't want to do, but I got one. I had to get with Elizabeth wanted one, and when I think about it, she was right. Her reasons were right, and I had to accept that. And it took about 5 years of nervous breakdowns, every day without my family. It's not without my family. I had the kids. I was taking care of them too. But without Elizabeth and you're having to live in a new place, the whole change when you get a divorce. Whoever's had a divorce, knows what I'm talking about. Whoever's listening. And I went through 4 promotional exams, which I did well on, but they didn't hire me. And that's a whole other thing altogether. I also I tried to get into other things in the police department. Again, I was very well qualified, but they didn't hire me for other reasons, and I had to accept that. I had to just learn how to accept the fact that I had no control over that stuff, But I continued to make meetings every day, period. And I went through the steps with a man named George Evans, and I had a spiritual awakening. It was a little one at first, but it's a bigger one now. In fact, it's so big, I don't even want to. It's humbling how big my spiritual awakening is. So I have 3 minutes and 9 seconds, and I'm going to get everybody caught up with John, I'm here to catch up. Don't you hate that when somebody says that at a meeting? I think I'll just catch up, but I'm going to catch up. Anyway, in the summer of 2023, I had retired. So success. I'd been through 32 years of copping, and I'd had enough. It was time to stop, and anyway, I retired. Successfully retired. I had money. It was, like a real person. And I started feeling bad, really bad. And I just kept telling myself I shouldn't feel this way. And in November, I had an MRI, and my doctor calls me up literally 15 minutes later and says, John, I got rough news for you. You have cancer. I'm like, huh? He goes, yeah. So from November of 23 until now, I'm on a cancer journey. It's called multiple myeloma. It's a blood cancer. And, it can kill me, believe it or not. It can metastasize into other stuff too. It's kind of the guillotine, over my head. I'm going to tell you something. You wouldn't think that cancer would be a really good thing. It's been the best thing that's happened to me in my sobriety. It really has. I'm closer to God by far. I'm closer to people in Alcoholics Anonymous by far than I've ever been in my life. When I say I live it a day at a time, I live a day at a time. There were periods there were periods that were so painful. I don't even want to talk about it. It was so bad. I would sit in a reclining chair. Steve knows reclining chairs because he's been in my house. I'd be sitting in the reclining chairs, hunched over like this, saying to myself, John, it's 4 p.m. I can make it till I fall asleep tonight. And I can see what tomorrow is going to bring, because my body was an organ cord of pain. There's really no other way to put it. It was a huge throb of pain. Okay? But the reality is that I kept going to my cancer treatment at Fred Hutchinson, and I got better. Not like super better, but better, and, and I'm very positive, I went to the International and I got sick. I couldn't breathe. And my oxygen saturation went from like 95, which is what it should be for all of us, to like 79. And the cancer people that I went to go see for that exam said, you need to go to the hospital. So now I have a second thing going on with my breathing. You know, out of the blue, it's not cancer, it's not heart disease, it's this thing. And you know, it's okay. It's just okay. Because I am not drinking today. And I love Alcoholics Anonymous more than anything in the world. I just do. So that's it out of me. I'll see you guys.